Welcome to Power in Words. If you have found your way here, you are searching for something. Perhaps you are searching for a shelter from the storm, a quiet corner in a noisy world, or a spark to reignite a fire that has dimmed within your soul. You have come to the right place. Power in Words is not merely a channel, it is a sanctuary. It is a gathering place for those who believe that language, when wielded with intention and truth, has the alchemy to transform existence. We are here to remind you of the strength you have forgotten, the resilience that lies dormant in your marrow, and the light that no darkness can extinguish. Today, we stand at the threshold of ancient wisdom to confront a modern struggle, guided by the voice of a man who ruled the known world yet fought his hardest battles within himself. We live in an era of unprecedented noise. From the moment we wake to the moment we close our heavy eyes, we are bombarded by the external world. The notifications on our screens demand our attention. The fluctuating economies demand our anxiety. The opinions of strangers demand our validation. We feel so often like leaves caught in a violent gale, whipped around by forces we cannot see and certainly cannot control. We define our happiness by the weather, by the traffic on the highway, by the tone of a boss's voice, or by the number of likes on a photograph. We have outsourced our peace. We have handed the keys to our emotional kingdom to the world outside, and then we wonder why we feel ransacked. But there is a different way to live. There is a philosophy that acts as an anchor in the wildest sea, and it comes to us from Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. His words, etched nearly 2,000 years ago, ring out with the clarity of a bell in the night. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Let us walk together into the depth of this truth. It sounds simple, does it not? Yet, it is perhaps the most difficult lesson a human being can ever master. To understand this, we must first act as psychologists of our own condition. Why do we suffer? If you strip away the layers of any specific pain, the heartbreak, the job loss, the public embarrassment, you will find that the core of the suffering is not the event itself, but your judgment of the event. It is your belief that things should be different than they are. We torture ourselves with the gap between reality and our expectations. We scream at the rain for making us wet, as if the clouds owe us dryness. We rage at the traffic for making us late, as if the cars appeared solely to thwart our destiny. In doing so, we become victims. When you believe that your peace depends on outside events, you are essentially a slave to circumstance. You are a puppet, and the world holds the strings. If the world is kind, you are happy. If the world is cruel, you are devastated. This is a fragile, terrifying way to exist. Marcus Aurelius offers us a liberation manifesto. He tells us that while we cannot command the ocean to be still, we can command the ship. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a fortress. This is a metaphor we must truly inhabit to understand. Outside the walls of this fortress, there is chaos. There are invading armies of misfortune, the arrows of criticism, the wild beasts of unpredictable tragedy. You cannot stop them from existing. You cannot scream them away. However, you are the gatekeeper of the fortress. Nothing enters without your permission. An insult thrown at you is merely sound waves moving through the air until you open the gate and drag it inside, nurturing it, analyzing it, and letting it hurt you. A failure is merely an outcome, a data point in the long experiment of life, until you open the gate and label it as a catastrophe that defines your worth. The power Marcus speaks of is the power of the gatekeeper. It is the sovereignty of interpretation. Let me tell you a story to illustrate this. A story that perhaps mirrors your own life. Imagine a man named Elias. Elias was a craftsman, a master carpenter who prided himself on the exquisite furniture he built. He spent 6 months carving a table of rare mahogany, a piece he believed was his magnum opus, the definition of his legacy. He poured his soul into the grain of the wood, sanding it until it felt like silk, finishing it until it glowed like amber. The day before he was to present it to a wealthy patron, a pipe burst in his workshop. Water, cold and unforgiving, flooded the room. The table was ruined, warped, stained, destroyed. Now, look at this through the lens of the world. This is a tragedy. This is a disaster. Elias has every right to collapse, to curse the plumbing, to curse God, give up carpentry, to spiral into a depression that lasts for years. The burst pipe is indifferent. Elias holds no dominion over the physics of water or the integrity of old metal. But here is the fork in the road. Here is where the Stoic mind diverges from the fragile mind. Elias stood in the ankle-deep water, looking at the ruin of his work. The initial shock, the physical sensation of adrenaline, the grief, these are automatic. But what happens next is the choice. Elias could choose the narrative of the victim. Why does this happen to me? I am cursed. My work is meaningless. If he chooses this, he suffers. The water destroys the table, but the narrative destroys his soul. Instead, Elias took a breath. He remembered that wood is a material of the earth, subject to decay and change. He remembered that his skill resided in his hands and his mind, not in the object itself. The object was temporary, the mastery was permanent. He looked at the warped wood and saw not a tragedy, but a blank slate. He saw a test of his resolve. He realized that while he could not unburst the pipe, he could choose to view this not as a funeral for his work, but as an opportunity to build something new, perhaps something different, or simply to prove to himself that his spirit was waterproof. He cleaned the shop. He salvaged what he could. He started over. The power was in his mind. The event was terrible, yes, but his mind remained unconquered. He transmuted the lead of disaster into the gold of resilience. This is what Marcus Aurelius demands of us. It is not a passive acceptance. It is an active, aggressive reclamation of your own agency. When he says, you have power over your mind, he is not saying you should suppress your emotions or become a robot. He is a philosopher of humanity, not of stone. He knows we feel pain. He knows we bleed. But he is asking us to separate the raw data of our lives from the stories we tell ourselves about that data. Think of the anxiety that plagues so many of us today. Anxiety is fundamentally a misuse of the imagination. It is the mind projecting itself into a future that has not happened and trying to control variables that do not exist yet. We worry about the economy crashing. We worry about our health failing. We worry about rejection. These are outside events. They are potential ghosts. When we obsess over them, we are trying to grab smoke with our bare hands. We exhaust ourselves fighting phantoms. The Stoic approach is to withdraw that energy and focus it on the only thing that is real, the present moment and your current conduct. You cannot control if the economy crashes, but you can control your spending habits today and your skill set. You cannot control if you get sick, but you can control your diet and your exercise today. When you pull your focus back from the external uncontrollables to the internal controllables, your anxiety diminishes. It is replaced by a sense of efficacy. You stop trying to play God with the universe and start playing the captain of your own soul. This shift in perspective is the ultimate act of self-love. We often think of self-love as bubble baths or vacations. And while those are nice, true self-love is refusing to let your inner world be ravaged by the outer world. It is protecting your peace with the ferocity of a lioness protecting her cubs. Why would you let a rude comment from a coworker ruin your dinner? Why would you let a traffic jam steal your joy? When you do that, you are valuing the traffic jam more than you value your own mind. You are saying, this external annoyance is more important than my internal serenity. Marcus Aurelius challenges us to flip the equation. He challenges us to treat our minds as sacred ground. Let us go deeper into the psychology of this power. Modern psychology calls this the locus of control. People with an external locus of control believe that life happens to them. They feel helpless, and helplessness is the breeding ground of depression. People with an internal locus of control believe that life happens for them, or at least that they decide how to respond to life. They tend to be more successful, healthier, and happier. Marcus Aurelius was the grandfather of this psychological truth. He was writing these words to himself while commanding armies on the frontier, surrounded by plague and death. He wasn't writing from an ivory tower. He was writing from the mud. He knew that if he let the outside events, the betrayal of generals, the death of his children, the constant war dictate his mind, he would crumble. And if the emperor crumbles, the empire falls. You are the emperor of your own life. If you crumble, your world falls. So how do we apply this? How do we take this from a beautiful philosophical concept and turn it into a weapon for our daily lives? It requires practice. It requires a daily training of the mind. Much like an athlete trains the body, you must catch yourself in the act of surrendering your power. Tomorrow, when something goes wrong, and it will, for that is the nature of existence, pause. Catch the moment between the event and your reaction. That split second is where your freedom lives. Someone cuts you off in traffic. The automatic reaction is anger, the tightening of the chest, the curse word. Pause. Look at the event. A car moved in front of another car. That is the reality. The judgment is, he disrespected me. He is endangering me. Change the judgment. He is in a hurry. Perhaps he is dealing with an emergency. It has nothing to do with me. Suddenly, the anger evaporates. You have kept your power. You're driving your car, not just physically, but emotionally. Consider the metaphor of the fire. A small fire can be extinguished by the wind, but a great fire is fueled by the wind. A weak mind is extinguished by adversity. It gives up. It says, this is too hard. But a mind that knows its own power treats adversity like fuel. The obstacle becomes the way. If you lose your job, it is fuel for a career pivot you were too scared to make. If a relationship ends, it is fuel for rediscovering your own independence and worth. You have power over your mind. This means you have the power of alchemy. You can turn the manure of life into fertilizer for your growth. This is not to say that we should be indifferent to injustice or that we should not strive to improve the world. We must. But we must do so from a place of stability, not hysteria. We are more effective at changing the world when we are not being crushed by it. The surgeon who operates with a calm, steady hand saves the patient. The surgeon who panics at the sight of blood does not. You must be the steady surgeon of your own destiny. There is a profound beauty in this self-reliance. It means that you are never truly lost because you always carry the map within you. It means that you can never be truly poor because your wealth is your character. It means that you can never be truly defeated because the only true defeat is the surrender of your will. The world can take your possessions, it can damage your reputation, it can even harm your body, but it cannot touch your mind unless you hand it the key. Let us imagine another scenario. A young woman, let's call her Maya. Maya dreams of being a writer. She sends her manuscript to 50 publishers. 50 times she receives a rejection letter. The outside event is clear. Rejection. 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 The world is screaming no. If Maya locates her power in outside events, she will conclude that she is a failure. She will stop writing. The light will go out. But Maya has read Marcus. She knows that the rejection letters are just paper and ink. They are the opinions of others, shaped by market trends and subjective tastes. She has power over her mind. She decides that these rejections are not stop signs, they are redirection signs. She decides that her worth as a writer comes from the act of writing, from the truth she puts on the page, not from the validation of a gatekeeper. She writes the 51st query. She improves her craft, she persists. Eventually she breaks through, or perhaps she self-publishes and finds her tribe. Regardless of the outcome, she maintained her power. She did not let the silence of the world silence her song. This is the call to action for your soul. Stop looking for salvation in the next paycheck, the next relationship, or the next administration. Stop waiting for the world to be perfect before you allow yourself to be at peace. The world will never be perfect. It will always be a mixture of beauty and terror, order and chaos. If you wait for the storm to end, you will wait forever. You must learn to dance in the rain. You must build your internal citadel so strong that you can look out at the chaos and smile, not out of arrogance, but out of a deep, abiding knowledge that you are safe because you are the master of your own perception. As we draw to a close, feel the weight of these words settling into your consciousness. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Repeat it like a mantra. Let it be the first thought when you wake and the last before you sleep. When the shadows lengthen and the road gets steep, remember that the steepest mountains offer the most magnificent views, but only to those who keep climbing, only to those who do not let the gravity of the struggle crush their spirit. You are stronger than you think. You are more capable than you know. The universe has granted you a spark of the divine fire, the ability to choose your own thoughts. Do not let that fire be doused by the cold waters of circumstance. Feed that fire. Protect it. Use it to light your way through the darkest tunnels. The power is yours. It has always been yours. You just forgot where you put it. You left it outside, in the hands of strangers and accidents. Go get it back. Reclaim your throne. The kingdom of the mind awaits its true ruler, and that ruler is you. Realize this power. Realize that you are the architect. And if you have found a spark of that architectural spirit here today, I invite you to leave a mark of your presence. Like this message to solidify your intent and subscribe to Power in Words. Let us walk this path of mastery together, one thought, one victory at a time.